Hi, everyone. Welcome to Potluck Food Talks. I'm Eric, and I'm here with Phil, my brother from different mother and father.
Coincidentally, yes.
How you doing, man?
Yeah, very good. How are you?
Good, man. Good.
If you hear me hectically scribbling, it's because I'm working on the thing that we're going to be talking about, which is giving me a real headache.
So I was thinking the topic for today could be advice for chefs. Like there was a chapter on Bourdain's book that was, So You Want to Be a Chef? We could call the episode something like that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. I feel like there's an audience for this sort of thing. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of, I mean, I'm sure it was the same. I don't know how it was for you. Did you have a lot of doubts how you would approach your journey as a chef, or it just kind of happened?
I remember I was really interested in reading biographies of chefs, not only recipes and cookbooks, but also knowing their life tracks, but also because I had this curiosity in general. You know, like if I like an artist or a film director or whatever, for me, it's always interesting to understand how they made it. And there was no exception with cooking. So I read quite a few biographies, but also this kind of advices, sometimes interviews.
Yeah.
So I can go with the first one. A first good advice, I would say, is be kind. Don't be an asshole.
That's a good... That's good advice. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. Like, I mean, it's so easy and sometimes so tempting to be an asshole, especially when you see someone doing something wrong or having a wrong attitude. But for example, I think like a very positive influence I had on this matter was Nani Lassa, who was like one of the chefs at Mugaritz. And that guy was incredibly calm, and he would always ask with good manners and keep a tone and stay calm. And I really admire that. And I think that's like a super positive quality to have in a job.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You know, when I was younger, I was very passionate about the job. And I came out of kitchens where it was very tough. And so when somebody made a mistake, for some reason, like on one side, I didn't really understand it when people didn't take it seriously. And I was like, man, you're making a mistake. It's just like wrong. And somebody's telling you it's wrong. Like you should take it and like take it seriously, not be like aloof about it and be like, oh yeah, whatever, it's still fine. And it's a fine line between caring about something and applying yourself and being an asshole, Because I think one aspect of that is very important. It's very important to take what you're doing seriously. And with seriously, I don't mean be very serious about it, I mean, really, if you're already taking the time to do it, do it properly and do it with passion and with soul and, apply yourself and put yourself into it. Because if you don't, then what the fuck are you doing it for? And it's like an office job. You're clocking in, you're clocking out. Super depressing. But at the same time, don't get caught up in all this like weird little bullshit. At the end of the day, whatever you're doing should be for your enjoyment also. And that's also, enjoyment is not just sitting on the couch. Enjoyment is also straining yourself and striving and trying to achieve and nurturing people. And that's also enjoyment. And don't take it too seriously, Of course, there's a lot of stressful aspects, but just try to see the bigger picture. Try to see where the enjoyment is, because that's also going to give you the most benefit out of the process that you're in.
Yeah, like on the same line of thought, I think it's also important to understand what your motivation is. You remember those letters that you get when you go to Mugaritz that they write, have very clear why you're coming here, so you can remember that in the hardest moments. And I think that's something you should take like in general, not only for being in like in a specific restaurant, but like having a vision or a motivation, which is not anything else but the narrative that shapes your roadmap, your tree of decisions, what you like, what not, what kind of places you like and which not, and around that, building like a style, a vision that could later translate into your own personal brand or your company or whatever, Like, but yeah, that's something nobody can help you on that. That's your business. You have to figure it out yourself.
Absolutely.
And also, you talked about people criticizing other people. I think it's very, very important to be open to criticism. Of course, it's important also to, to say someone to stop if there is an abusive behavior. But also on the other side, I think there's a difference between that and being just a victimized crybaby.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So in respecting that middle point, I think it's also key. Like making like a big drama because someone told you did something wrong, then that's your problem, not the other person's problem,
No, absolutely. And I think that's such a great point to make. You really need to be real with yourself, like show up before anything, show up for yourself and tell yourself the truth like you would tell your best friend. Sometimes we need people to tell us how things really are, because we get so caught up in our own bullshit, in our own minds, in our own little perception of things, It's very, very important to be super honest with yourself. And, like very close friends, if they see their close friend doing something that is really stupid and not okay, they're going to take that person and be like, hey, bro, that's fucked up what you just did. Like, that's not okay. What's going on with you? And that's okay. That's fine because that's good for you, And it happens to everybody. It's not the end of the world. It's not like everybody's going to turn their back on you. It's very important to do that with yourself, Equally as important to stick up for yourself, especially when we're talking about kitchens and there's subjects like, an abusive environment, etc. The constant topics that we're talking about in gastronomy. But be real with yourself and think to yourself, okay, because it's very easy to fall and very comfortable to fall into the victim position of being like, oh, no, I'm not going to do this because this and this didn't agree with me. And it's kind of like, well, is it valid? Or are you actually doing you a disservice and everybody else who is in an actually horrible situation a disservice?
Yeah, like another one I would say is knowledge reigns supreme. Like you need to get as much knowledge as you can, like understanding ingredients and processes, techniques. And today there are so endless resources for it. Like it was pretty hard to find videos when I started, now you have YouTube and you can check whatever. There are also so many platforms like, like Chef Steps and these kind of things, Gromda, like where you can get like master classes from master chefs. If I would be on my apprentice stage, I would take advantage of all of those resources for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think kind of tying into that is sort of like, give things time, I feel like everybody, especially nowadays, and I know that I was at fault with that also, is that people just try to rush through, things take time and, to become, just thinking that if you're a chef, you want to become a head chef at some point, that takes time. It's a long process and there's a lot of skills attached to that. Like, of course you can be a head chef standing at the pass and calling out tickets, but being a head chef or any sort of like senior chef, person working in gastronomy, there's such a wide skill set that you need to have, cooking is just the start of it. And that takes time. So give yourself that time. Don't rush the process. Really internalize and repeat the things that you should be really, really exceptional at, right? So, of course, you should be a very, very exceptional cook. What does that mean? That means that you should work all the stations in the restaurants and learn every aspect of what it means to be a chef. It's impossible to learn everything, of course, but say you pick one restaurant where you like the style of food that they do. You work the garde-manger, you work the entremets, you work the saucier and portionné, you work the patisserie, you're a tourneur for a little bit, whatever. Really internalize all those aspects. Because at one point, you're not going to be cooking there anymore, but you need to understand everything that's going on there. And then that's just the cooking part. Then everything else comes, the financial side, the organizational side, the creative side, and then the humanitarian side, the social aspect of working with people. It's so, so important. And I feel like probably 80% of people rush through this understanding before they become a leader. They know how to cook, and then they take on leadership without knowing how to manage. I was one of those people.
No, absolutely. And I think you should build like a knowledge taxonomy. Same, like when I started, there weren't like online drives where you can have everything and lose your computer and still have everything online. I would definitely have something like that with folders, and at the same time, I think it's also important not to saturate yourself. Like it's not the same having one single book and knowing it pretty well before you go to the next one, or having a folder with 2,000 books you haven't read and you don't even know what the content is. Like that's which is pretty common because there is a lot of ebook smuggling in the chef's world.
Yes.
And you'll end up with a folder with 2,000 books you haven't read, and that's also okay. But I mean, like do the learning properly. And also, if I would recommend one knowledge that you should really master, even though it's the most boring one, it would be like cost control and management. Like that will get you a job much more than being super creative. Like someone who hires a chef will take creativity for granted, but they will really dig into that, how much you understand about processing the costs. And this is one of the main reasons why some restaurants fail and close. It's because they're not doing the whole financial management right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely right. And, with what you just said, with this like vast amount of knowledge that you can have, I often think that becoming a chef is kind of like signing up for a martial art, like you decide, okay, I want to train this martial art, and you come in, you get your white jacket and you get your white belt, right? Your white belt.
And you have to visit some Kung Fu masters and far mountains to learn how to do like a secret punch, right?
Yeah, if you want to be the real, if you want to be the real G, then that's what you do. But even if you just want to be in your dojo and you want to just like, carry on, in the beginning, you get the white belt, and you learn the basics and you practice the basics and you repeat them until you're solid at them. And then maybe you get promoted for a next belt, and then, but you'll keep adding new techniques to your repertoire, right? But you'll keep repeating the foundations, the fundamentals, and really honing them. And anybody who's trained a little bit of martial arts knows that any martial art, knows that it's a very fundamental truth that the basic techniques studied and honed and executed with a razor sharp edge are one of the highest skill levels that you can have.
For sure.
And of course you can add really fancy throws and flips and kicks and whatever, and that's very cool and that's very great. But that's nothing without the fundamentals. And I feel like a lot of people forget that, if I step into the kitchen and I cook something, I have the criteria for myself and the standard that I wanted to be better than the guy who's cooking in my team on that section. Not because of ego, but because of I need to keep my skill level at a certain level so that the people who are working with me have somebody who can teach them something, where there's still a little bit of room for improvement. And if that's not there, maybe that's there in some other aspect. I also, I've worked with people who were much better at certain things than me, obviously. But maybe there's other things that I can give them, maybe it's in the creativity part, or maybe it's in a managerial part, but that you always need to stay fresh and you need to stay sharp.
And I mean, like, knowing the foundations, but also you can get knowledge, like culinary knowledge, from so many sources. You can ask the dishwasher working at your restaurant from traditional recipes from his or her country. You can ask your friend's mother for traditional recipes. And besides that, like having a repertoire of classics and understanding classic techniques, which I think it's a super fascinating word in itself. I think it's also, you should know at least a few of the Michael Jordans in the game. Like I recently saw an interview with Albert Adria. He was doing a pop-up with Alain Ducasse in Paris. And one of the apprentices working there that came from one of the Ducasse culinary schools, tells Albert how to properly hold the siphon wood. Like, no, you don't hold it like this. Like,
Oh my God. Imagine.
if you're at an event cooking with Albert Adria, you should do some basic checking about who that guy is. I really think you should do those things. I had the opportunity. I work in a restaurant, like the first restaurant where I was an apprentice. They would bring some famous chefs from Spain to do like dinners there, like special dinners and four hands and so. And I mean, like, at least check out on Wikipedia, what they've done.
Yeah.
Perhaps he invented that thing you're correcting him about, or was part of the development of it.
No, 100%. Absolutely. It's like, be humble. It's just in general. I think it's like a general life thing. And it's a thing that's thrown around a lot, but like, it's kind of what I said earlier. Don't take yourself too seriously, have a shokunin mindset, a beginner's mindset. And, that's going to bring you really, really far. And if you're not taking things too like seriously and you're taking things humbly, you're opening yourself to the ability of infinite knowledge and wisdom that's coming at you, from any source, and you're allowing yourself the ability to constantly change and constantly adapt. Because if you're like stiff, convinced that the way that you're filleting this fish is the best way ever, then you're not going to move. You're stationary like a rock. But if you allow yourself to, if you don't have that, and if you're easy breezy about it, you can basically go wherever, My
last advice would be avoid toxic lifestyles on the long run. Like, of course, there's going to be like a lot of drinking and partying and that kind of things, but that's not sustainable over decades. I mean, like, if you do that while you're young every day, fine. If you do that every day after you're 40, maybe, you'll die young, and that's all. If you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, I love how you're ending this advice on basically like hey, stay away from drugs, kids. Comment. But obviously, like, you're right, you're absolutely right. I think...
No, I didn't say stay away from drugs. I say don't get too deep into them.
Okay, I see. I'm sorry for twisting your words. But yeah, it's a toxic lifestyle, for me, a toxic lifestyle starts in your mind also. And that's why I said, this is kind of the advice that I could give, is kind of the advice that I give myself sometimes is, like, remember why you got into it, with all the bullshit that can be involved in everyday life and in this job, remember why originally you chose to go into this job, which is very beautiful. You're working with your hands, you're working with the seasons, you're creating every day. You have the ability to learn something all the time and the opportunity to improve yourself every single day. And you get to work with people that you can bounce your creativity off and your good work off of. It's a very, very rewarding thing to do. And it's a very rewarding thing to spend your life doing, really. And don't get dragged down, because, it's only up to how you approach it and what your attitude towards it.
Should we do the draft now?
Yeah, let's do it. I've been thinking about this a lot. So
I prepare to the. So what are the rules?
Okay, first a little bit of context. So in a question that a listener has posted, he challenged us to make up our dream team, our A team of chefs, a dream brigade. How did he call it?
The draft.
Dream brigade draft.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So obviously, what is it? We have positions to fill. We have the CDC, chef de cuisine, sous chef, portionnaire, saucier, which it's saucier, rôtisseur, it's like sauces and meat, entremetier, garde-manger, pastry, and production.
Okay. I did two different. I did one like the historical one, like the dream team of all times. There are no time barriers. It can be chefs that have died with chefs that are alive. The Olympus of chefs. And the other one is like contemporary and friends. I would say most of them, I know them. I think there is only one that it's not like a friend, but I've talked with him once. And yeah. So You want to go first or should I go first?
I have one position that I'm sure, because I had an initial team and now I've changed a couple of details about it.
Okay.
Actually, no. Okay. I think I have my team. Do we go position by position or do we say the whole team?
I'll say the whole team.
Okay, good.
Okay, I'll start with so you can gain more time also.
All right, thank you.
So the historical one, chef de cuisine, not like head chef, like master in command, Escoffier. I think if that guy was running brigades with hundreds of chefs 100 years ago, and he had like this quote where he said, during service, I only want to listen to the sweet sound of my voice.
Yeah.
I think that guy knew a thing or two about how organizing. He actually implemented the whole brigade system. Was it him or he probably...
That was him, yeah.
He probably formalized it.
Yeah.
It probably already existed somehow, but he made it like a
thing.
Like a method properly. Yeah.
Nice, good choice.
So that would be my super head chef. Sous chef would be Thomas Keller. Kind of similar profile, I think.
Solid choice. Yeah.
Then I named a pasta chef, apart from the entometier. I don't know if Nadia Santini or Gualtiero Marchesi. Like maybe Nadia, because, you know, like a nonna making pasta.
That's very cool.
Properly.
That's very cool.
For the pizza, I went to like an apostate of traditional pizza, which is Wolfgang Puck.
Pizza?
I did a pizza station, yeah. My super restaurant has a pizza station.
Okay, all right. Well, you're having Wolfgang Puck as your pizza chef?
He is like a renowned. He implemented like this California style of pizza.
Oh, come on. He's got one like salmon creme fraiche pizza that he's famous for. But okay.
Hey, it's my draft.
Yeah, I know. It's your dream restaurant.
Poissonnier, I was thinking between Seiji Yamamoto, you know, because of racial profiling, having like a Japanese.
Of course, yes. Of course.
Or Josh Nealand.
Solid choice. Very good choice, yes. Of course. The fucking fish wizard.
And for the grill, because I know who you're having on the grill, I would choose... Man, I don't know the name of this guy, but because it's this super long Basque family name, but the chef at Casa Julián, you know, it's Gocho Partegui or something like that.
Oh. Yeah, I know which one you mean. For grill, yeah. You know, I've never been to Casa Julián.
Me neither, but I really like the whole concept of it.
Yeah, me too.
Saucier, I want someone very technical.
Mm.
And someone who really can standardize everything, but at the same time be creative and audacious. So I choose Heston Blumenthal as my associate.
Oh, as associate, really? Wow.
Garde-manger, Andoni from Garitz.
Yeah.
I think he can deal vegetables pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Entremetier could also be the garde-manger easily. I choose Alain Passard.
Yeah, of course. Very, very good choice.
Pâtissier, Pierre Hermé.
Mm-hmm.
R&D, Albert Adria. And production, I want someone who injects fuel to the whole production. So I choose Marco Pierre White.
I can really see him as a good production chef, huh?
And that's it. We can save the other draft for a different episode, so to not make it so long, the one with contemporary and friends.
Okay. All right.
So you also have more time to write yours.
Okay. Yeah, because I only have like an A-team draft, you know?
Okay.
All right. So my A-team draft is chef de cuisine, Pierre Agné.
That's a crazy kitchen. Nice, I like it.
Because I just love his energy. And I feel like he'd bring a really good vibe and he'd tie the team together.
He's like a crazy jazz freestylist, right?
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't necessarily want him having a running section, but I think if people play the ball towards him, he's really good.
Yeah, like a Charlie Parker of cooking.
Yeah. As my sous chef, I would want Daniel Calvert.
Okay.
Who's actually also a Thomas Keller alumni from Per Se. And he's from Cezanne in the Four Seasons in Tokyo. And he's like a super perfectionistic, just like a Shaolin monk of cooking. So I feel like he'd be a perfect sous chef. As a poissonnier, I made some changes to my original draft. As a porcelain, I choose Josh Nyland.
Yeah, nice.
Because he'll just send me these like perfectly cut, fucking perfectly cooked, crispy pieces of fish, and I'll just be happy. Just be very happy. These like triangular pieces of perfect fish skin. Oh, love this guy. All right. So grill, I have Vitor Arginsonis, or how his surname is, from Etxebarri. And as associate rotisseur for every other sort of meat and sauces, I've got Alain Passat.
Okay, nice. I like.
Everybody thinks, you put Alain Passat on vegetables, but no.
Yeah, I saw the Frankenstein he did recently.
Oh, but did you see the video with the lamb and the pigeon?
Yeah, I saw you posted it. Super nice.
Oh my God. I was so upset because I started watching it. I was like, man, this guy, he's lost it. He's crazy. And then he cuts it and it's just fucking perfection. And you're like, man, you can't diss him. He's a genius. He's an absolute genius.
The first time I knew about him in my life was this Iron Chef episode, the France special one.
Yeah.
And I remember him cooking a chicken in a very special way in that one.
Probably with hay and stuff, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I think like when you see stuff like that, I remember watching the video and I was actually very moved. Because, it's like very easy to make fun of him these days with his like chimera creations. But I saw that video and I was like, he's just on a different level. He is a culinary genius. Anyway, so entre métier, I've got Michel Bras.
Very good.
Yeah.
Nice. I like you. I like your draft better than mine, actually.
Oh, see? On garde-manger, I have one of my all-time favorite chefs and author of one of my absolutely favorite cookbooks, Pascal Babot.
Nice. Very French. Your draft is super French. Very Parisian, actually. Do you have like at least 5 chefs from Paris?
Yeah, I realized that also. Okay, well, I'll break the mold. On pastry, I would like somebody a little bit... actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I just in this moment, I changed my mind about pastry. On pastry, I want Espen Holborn Bang from Memo.
Okay. Norwegian. Okay.
Yes. This is exactly the style of pastry that I like.
I don't know this guy.
You can make some waffles with cloudberry jam. You don't know this guy? Espen?
No, I'll have to check out.
But you know Memo, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And that's it for me. That's my draft. I don't have a production chef yet. I can't decide.
In the next episode, we do one with contemporary chefs and friends.
Okay. All right.
It has to be people you know or you work with or at least talk to.
Well, that's easy enough.
That's it for this week's episode of Potluck Food Talks. If you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as Potluck Food Talks. The show airs every Monday.